Easy peasy. You just stand there, I'll stand here, and it'll all just work out. No problem. All right, YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Today we are going to be talking about mercenaries and some of the best gear for them, specifically the Act 2 mercenaries, you know, the ones with the pole arms and stuff. But we're going to be going over kind of the best gear, or at least the gear that you should be using in order to keep them alive, because they are very helpful in keeping you alive if they're able to tank for you, as well as kill some immunities for you. So stay tuned. And please hit that follow button and subscribe button. Take 10 seconds out of your day to do that, and I promise I will take time out of my day to give this guy a WALK. All right, just so we're even, you know what I mean? All right, enjoy the video, guys. Okay, and then when choosing your merc, there's really only 2, maybe 3 mercs that you're looking for, at least for the Act 2 mercs. One is going to be doing the Holy Freeze aura. It seems it doesn't do any damage, really. It seems kind of pointless, but I mean, having everything cold or frozen and slowed is just so much nice to a little bit of crowd control. You don't really realize how important it is until it happens, until you have it. But most likely you're going to use the Nightmare Holy Freeze Mercenary. Second to that, I mean, you could use Defiance. That might have a use for you if you're a defensive build. I wouldn't recommend it, but I would recommend Might if you are a melee build. The offensive Nightmare Aura Might really helps with getting some damage out. And if you're really hurting on attack rating, there's a lot of ways to help your attack rating out besides it using your merc to do so, but it is possible that you can use a merc with Blessed Aim to get some might. I personally, for my sorceress, I use a Holy Freeze merc just to get that crowd control going, making sure everything gets slowed when I get near it. At least that isn't cold immune. So pick your merc, and then we move on from there as gearing it up. It is worth mentioning as well that you want to, if you're getting a merc that can be in Hell and Normal, both of the same auras, get one from Normal, because they do end up having higher stats as they level up, and you can get one, whatever character level you are, it'll be around your character. Even if you go to Normal, it'll be around your character level. All right, let's go over some merc gear, at least, I mean, some of the top tier merc gear is what we're going to go over here. That doesn't mean it's all expensive. It just means that this is what's most popular, what I use, and so on and so forth. So let's just get right into it. What I'm using right now in my merc is Leviathan. The huge defense is great. The damage reduction is amazing. The added strength is necessary in this case for me, or else he can't wear his insight. And the helm I'm using is just Tal's helm. This should be a very cheap item. Gall resistance, the 10% life leech is very important, and an insight for some mana regeneration aura. Also does a heap ton of damage. It's a ethereal base. It is a Colossus Vulge, which is an elite base item. Very important to make sure that they do have, or they are putting out a lot of damage. The reason for that is that 10% life stolen is going to be based off your damage, or their damage, and that damage needs to be high in order for them to get a lot of life back when they hit things. So very important. I guess rule number 1, make sure that you have a very strong weapon. Rule number 2, make sure you have a decent amount of life leech. 10% from Tals is great. Normally we'll do life leech in the helmets, damage reduction in the armor, and obviously damage in the weapon, auras in the weapon. That's usually how we do things with the mercs. As far as helmets that are usable, or the helmets you want to look for, there's Crown of Thieves, which is a relatively cheap item. It does have a ton of life leech. It gives you mana life, some dex to them, some fire resist, which is always nice. Next to that would be probably Tal's helm. This gives the life leech, this gives life and all resistance, which is great. Very cheap item. You should be able to get one, if not for free, for very, very little investment. Next on the tier, going up, would be Vamp Gaze. This item gives up to 8% life stolen per hit, which is nice. Damage reduced by up to 20%. Obviously, the higher the better. And you can even up it and make it from a Grimhelm to a whatever the next one is. You know, just more defense. And then lastly, the GG item for Merc Helms is going to be Andy's Visage, Indariel's Visage helmet. That one gives the +2 to all skills, which does affect the auras. The life stolen per hit, obviously we still need our life leech. It does also give attack speed, which is great. So that's these are a little bit more expensive. And then obviously for any of the items that we're talking about, aside from set items, because they can't be ethereal, we want ethereal items. Mercs do not lose durability on their items at all, and therefore they're getting the extra bonuses of defense or damage or what have you, based on the fact that they're ethereal. Moving on to armor. Starting at the bottom, you can do something like stone, which is relatively cheap to make. An and a pole is a little bit expensive, but it does give a ridiculous amount of defense if you can get it in a good solid base, an ethereal base with a lot of defense. It will add a lot of resistances, some strength if you need strength to wear weapons. The faster hit recovery is nice for your merc to keep them getting hit and moving forward fast. The next thing up, Gladiator's Bane, actually. Just a lot of defense, faster hit recovery. The cannot be frozen is nice, keeps your merc on the move. It's just worth, if you have nothing else, it's worth having and using. It's very cheap, very cheap. I mean, people are giving these things away. Next up from that would probably be Shaft Stop. Obviously, if you can get an ethereal one, great. That's a little expensive. These ones you can probably get, a regular one you can probably get for, I don't know, maybe a Lem Room, and at the moment it shouldn't be too expensive, and that's what I was using before I got the Leviathan. Coming up from Shaft Stop would be Treachery. Treachery is great for a couple reasons. It does give a chance to proc Fade, which adds resistances and a little bit of defense to the merc itself. Gives him a nice little buff with that as he's getting hit, which usually procs pretty often. You usually have to worry about that procking. It procs pretty often. Also, it gives him 45 attack speed, which is great, because the faster he hits stuff, the faster he's healing himself. So the attack speed is definitely nice. And then just some cold resistance. Treachery is pretty well. It's a good rune word. Definitely, if you have a Lem rune, go get yourself a 3-socket base, ethereal, elite, and make yourself one of these. Next, we will say Leviathan. The damage reduction percent plus the amazing amount of defense you get is great, and it just adds to strength to help equip some of those higher strength requiring weapons. And then the last item, or the top tier, would probably be Fortitude. Very GG item. It gives them 300% enhanced damage, 200% enhanced defense as a armor, and maximum lightning resist, all resistance. I don't even know why I'm counting on my fingers. I kind of like lost track. All resistance. I mean, you see it here. It does so much good things, especially the chilling armor proc that they gain is amazing as well. It really helps them stay alive. So this is the GG item that you want, is Fortitude, but it's expensive. It costs a low rune. That's why lows are so, one of the reasons lows are so sought after at the moment. All right, moving on to weapons. So when you're making your rune word weapons, because a lot of these weapons are going to be rune words, you do want to make sure that it is in a item that, number one, can get 4 sockets. When I make videos, I make them very simple. We're not going to go into attack speed breakpoints and faster recovery breakpoints and stuff for the mercs. That stuff I can put a link in below for if you really want to dive in further. But anyways, these are the weapons you can use to make your rune words. Most all the weapons are going to be rune word weapons, except for there is one unique item. So there is one unique item that is nice, and that is the Reaper's Toll. If you can get ETH, great. Very expensive if it's ethereal. But it is good for if you're a physical character and not a caster and you do physical damage. It will break physical immunes by casting a curse, level 1 Decrepify, which is also nice because it's slows them as well. All right, the next weapon we're going to talk about is going to be Insight. That's going to be one of the most popular weapons. It's a rune word. The base is probably going to be the hardest thing to get, is the Ethereal Elite 4-socket base. Polearm, but the rune is just Ral Tir Tal Soul, very cheap to make. Once you have your base, you can get 12 to 17 meditation, level 12 to 17 meditation aura. The higher the aura, the more mana you'll regenerate. So you do want to get as high as you can. If you get a really low roll, it's just a hell rune and a scroll of town portal in a cube with it to wipe all those runes out. You'll lose the runes, but you'll keep the base and just re-roll it so you get something better. If you have extra runes laying around, it's probably a good idea. So you get a higher meditation aura, and that regenerates your mana. Also, it gives a heap of damage to the weapon itself, and it's just simply a very strong weapon that should be using. And then the very last weapon we're going to talk about is Infinity. Very expensive, very expensive, and you do want to put it in a nice base as well. The level 12 conviction aura does break immunities. It at least lowers resistances to everything around your merc, making them a lot easier to kill if you do elemental damage. Conviction also lowers defense, so even if you're melee, it'll actually make your attack rating a lot better, or actually your chance to hit a lot better, because their defense will go down as well. Does do a heap of damage like normal. Does a little bit of crushing blow, which is very helpful with bosses, and it's just all in all a GG weapon, which I'm working on getting myself one hopefully semi soon. And that's actually it. I mean, it's just a quick simple video. I hope it's helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should have added something else. But thanks for watching. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Peace.